So, good morning, students. Today we will discussing about the artificial vegetative propagation. Artificial vegetative propagation is carried out by stem cutting, layering, grafting, tissue culture. So, in the case of grafting, bud grafting, whip grafting, approaching grafting, etc. Layering, simple and air layering, and also the tissue culture. Here we see the stem cutting methods. Cutting of a healthy young branch of a plant having leaf bud is planted in the moist soil. The cutting develops roots and grows into new plants. Example, chameli means the jasmine, bougainvillea, roses and sugarcane. Here I pasted the picture of roses and we using the cutting stems for the vegetative propagations of the roses. How to cut the roses? And we cut a tender branch of the roses and replant into the soil. So here the stem cutting methods are seen here. Using a blade or razor, we cut a stem one branch of a parent plant and that branch is potted in another pot. So the tapioca we planted using the stem cutting method. Again I pasted a YouTube video for you.
कोविड टीके से जुड़े सवालों के बारे में गूगल पे जानिए।
Okay, wait. Okay, here you see the picture of layering. So what is layering? In this video, we studied that how layering process occurs. In layering, a young branch is bent to a touch ground. It is covered with moist soil, forming a layer. When root develops from to the covered part, the branch cut from to the parent plant. It grows into new plant. Example: jasmine, mint, and white. Some of most common method of layering: ground layering and air layering. Already we see the video of air layering. So in the case of ground layering, we bend a small branch of that particular parent and touch in the ground. It is covered with moist soil, forming a layer. When root develops from the covered part, the branch is cut from to the parent plant and it grow into new plant. And so this type of layering that occurs in the jasmine, mint, and wine. Then again, the layering is a method. A stem or a branch is bent into the ground. A small part of the stem is buried in the soil so that root develops there. Example are grapes, climbing roses, jasmine, etc. Then air layering. When roots is complete 4 to 6 weeks, cut layer below the roots and transplant. Parent portion will continue to grow and form new branches. Air layering method, the plants that propagate well this way: rubber tree, Persian lime, Mongolia, etc. So this is the process of layering, and then pass on to the grafting process. In this method, cutting with buds of one plant is called the cycone. Is kept over the cut stem of another plant is called stalk. The stem of rooted plant. Okay, we will watch a video for to grafting process and come back.
ഇത് വളരെ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുള്ള ഒരു സമയമാണ്. പ്രതീക്ഷ കൈവിടരുത്, ഇതും കടന്നുപോകും.
ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുള്ള സമയം വന്നപ്പോൾ
This video will show how to graft citrus trees using the cleft graft. I will use the cleft graft to add a new variety to an existing tree to create a multi-variety citrus cocktail tree. This is the tree that I'll be grafting to, an Oro Blanco Pomelo hybrid tree. I'll be grafting a Sarawak Pomelo scion. I like to use the cleft graft when the scion is the same size or slightly smaller than the target branch. I ordered my Sarawak scions from California's Citrus Budwood program, the CCPP. So that my graft succeeds and also to prevent the spread of disease, I sterilize my tools between grafts using chlorine bleach at a concentration of 1.5%. Cutting the target branch with the saw creates a minimum amount of damage at the end of the branch. Next, I split the end of the target branch to create the cleft into which the scion will be inserted. I begin at the middle of the end of the branch and slowly rock the knife back and forth until the cut is the desired length. This cut is about 1.5 inches or 4 centimeters long. Now I will pick the flattest side of the scion to match the cleft in the target branch. I will cut it to a tapered point for insertion into the target branch. In recent years, Huanglongbing, or HLB, the most deadly disease of citrus trees, has been spreading rapidly throughout the world. Invasive insects called citrus psyllids carry the disease from one citrus tree to another. Human movement of citrus trees, cuttings, and leaves has sped the spread of the disease and the insects around the world, resulting in the deaths of hundreds of millions of citrus trees. Because of disease, it is very important to understand the local situation before grafting citrus. Local laws may require the use of registered disease-tested budwood when grafting citrus. For example, the threat of HLB is so severe in California that the state mandates the use of registered budwood whenever citrus trees are grafted. The only source of registered budwood for hobbyists in California is the CCPP. The linked video shows how to order budwood. They will ship citrus budwood anywhere in the world where the local laws allow it. If the local laws do not allow it, there may be a local budwood program. FruitMentor.com/citrusbudwood has a list. At the very end of the video, I'll have more on Huanglong Bing in different parts of the world. As I insert the scion into the target branch, my goal is to line up the cambium of the scion with that of the rootstock. The cambium is a thin layer of tissue between the bark and the wood. For the graft to succeed, the cambium layers must touch. I'm going to show how I lined up the cambium layers via an animation. The bark of the scion may be a different thickness than the bark of the rootstock. So if the outside of the bark is lined up, the cambium layers may not be in contact. By adjusting the angle of the scion, it is easy to guarantee that the cambium layers are touching in at least one point. Here I wrap the graft with an initial layer of parafilm to seal the graft and hold it in place. To get a good seal, I gently pull on the parafilm as I wrap it. This makes it stick to itself. In order to ensure close contact between the cambium layers and to strengthen the graft while it is healing, I wrap it with a rubber band. Here I prune the scion to leave 3 or 4 buds. The next step is to wrap the graft with the second layer of parafilm. I wrap starting from the bottom, overlapping as I go up and gently pulling on the parafilm to make it stick. Overlapping the layers keeps the graft from drying out and also will keep out rainwater. Other than the buds, I completely wrap the scion, including the cut end. Here I add a label with the name of the variety and also the date of the graft. In order to keep the graft from drying out, I wrap it with aluminum foil, which reflects the sunlight and keeps the graft from getting too hot. After a 3-week healing period, I remove the foil and see that the graft is still green. The time-lapse video shows about 4 months of growth of the graft. Unwrapping shows that the graft has healed well. This includes the backside where there was no attempt to match the cambium. Here's the whole Sarawak branch. I've patch budded a pomelo called Mato Buntan. I've also cleft grafted a pomelo called Gerardo Buntan. I have made this video to stop the spread of Huanglong Bing. Spreading the word about the importance of using budwood that is tested free of disease will save trees. Please help by sharing this video. Also, please be sure to give the video a thumbs up. You can also help by subscribing to this YouTube channel.
Okay, I hope all of you understand about the grafting process.
This video will show how to graft citrus trees using the cleft graft. I will use the cleft graft to add a new variety to an existing tree to create a multi-variety citrus cocktail tree. This is the tree that I'll be grafting to.
Okay, so this method combines to the desirable characteristics of 2 variables of plants. The stem of the plant is cut off such that its roots are still in the soil. This plant is called the stalk. The stem cutting from another healthy plant named the cycone is placed over the stalk. The stalk and cycone are tied together and the stalk provides to the cycone with water and minerals. The resulting plant has to the hardness of to the stalk but to the desirable fruits or flowers of the cycone. Then we pass on another method of artificial vegetative propagation, that is plant tissue culture. So the tissue culture is known as the micropropagation method. Micropropagation is the process of growing new plants by cell culture or tissue culture techniques. Here I pasted the process of tissue culture. The tissue sample are sowed from to the parent plant. The tissue samples are placed in agar growth medium containing to the nutrients and auxins. Samples develops into tiny plantlets and the plantlets are planted into the compost. So here also I pasted the sorting of to the plantlets. Then this is the tissue culture lab. So again the grown up plants are seen inside to the tissue culture boxes, and there is another side for the tissue culture plantation and how it plant to the outside pot, and here the planting, and then this is the inside the tissue culture plant that grow inside to the agar solution. So here this plant is planted to different pots, then growing of this plant. And tissue culture is also called as to the micropropagation. It is the growing of small plants from pieces of tissues using sterile laboratory techniques, the procedures of to the clones. Then what is tissue culture? Plant tissue culture is the collection of techniques used to maintain or grow plant cells, tissues or organs under sterile conditions on a nutrient culture medium of known composition. The plant tissue culture is widely used to produce clones of plants in a method known as the micropropagation. Tissue culture means production of new plant by growing a very small piece of plant tissues in aesthetic condition, usually test tube, flask or bottle containing a nutrient medium. Then this is the tissue culture versus to the traditional propagation. Then we watch a YouTube video for how this tissue culture process are going on in the lab.
Tissue culture. In plant breeding, the technique of tissue culture has emerged as a very efficient tool to propagate better improved crops. Tissue culture is a much approachable technique than other traditional plant breeding techniques. By using this method, cells, tissues, etc. are maintained and grown in vitro under aseptic conditions in artificial medium, providing necessary nutrients for growth. In 1839, Schleiden and Schwann proposed that cell is the basic unit of life and is capable of autonomy. Each cell, if given an environment, is capable to regenerate into a whole plant. Based on this theory, a German physiologist, Gottlieb Heberland, in 1902 developed the concept of in vitro cell culture, also called tissue culture. Cells in his experiment increased in size but failed to divide, due to which his predictions failed. However, his hypothesis paved the way for more research. He is thus regarded as the father of tissue culture. Taking cue from his experiments, Hanning in 1907 took nearly mature embryos of crucifers and successfully grew them to maturity. In 1908, Simon regenerated callus, buds, and roots from poplar stem segments and established the basis for callus culture. A breakthrough came from White in 1934, who experimented on tomato roots. He reported not only could culture tomato root tips grow, but they could be repeatedly subcultured to fresh medium of inorganic salts supplemented with yeast extract. During 1950s, scientists found that any part of a plant grown in nutrient media under sterile conditions can give rise to a whole new plant. The plant part used in culture is called as explant. This property of plant cells to give rise to a whole new plant is called totipotency. The term totipotency was coined by Stewart in 1968. Totipotency. It requires a nutrient medium that contains sucrose, inorganic salts, vitamins, proteins, and growth regulators, such as auxins and cytokinins. Technique of tissue culture. The first step of tissue culture is excising or cutting a small part of plant tissue, like the leaf, root, or shoot of a plant. This cut out part, explant, is then placed in a suitable nutrient medium containing a carbon source such as sucrose, inorganic salts, vitamins, amino acids, and growth regulators like auxins, cytokinins, etc. The explants are allowed to multiply and form a group of tissues called callus. callus is irregular, unorganized, and undifferentiated mass of actively dividing cells. This callus is then allowed to multiply to form many plantlets, which are then transferred to a different container for rapid multiplication. Finally, the developed plantlets are transplanted to the soil for normal growth. Tissue culture is performed using a small part of a plant to develop a large number of plants in a short duration. It is thus also called as micropropagation. As all these plants are developed from the same part of the parent plant, they are genetically identical and called soma clones. Micropropagation is extensively used in horticulture and floriculture and is employed in the large-scale production of tomato, banana, apple, etc. This technique can also be used to propagate high-yielding disease-resistant varieties in a short span. Even in conditions when a plant is diseased, tissue culture is used for recovering healthy plants from diseased plants by taking the explant of the apical or axillary meristem. This is done because the meristem is always free from pathogens due to lack of vascular supply.
Okay, here we watched the video of to the tissue culture. Today we studied about to the artificial vegetative propagative methods that are stem cutting, layering, grafting and tissue culture. Then what is the economic importance of artificial propagation? Artificial propagation is commonly used in horticulture and agriculture. It is helpful in developing high yield and disease resistant varieties of fruit trees. By tissue culture, thousands of plants are developed from tiny piece of the plant. Then the advantages of vegetative propagation: rapid multiplication, genetically identical offsprings, and easy to grow multiplication without seed formation. Then some of the disadvantages of vegetative propagation: plant produced by vegetative propagation are genetically identical. Overcrowding may result because such plants grow in same area as there is no dispersal of the plants. I hope all of you understand about this topic. Thank you.